What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your host, Robbie Rowland, on The Robbie Rowe Show. Thank you guys for tuning in. You got, what do we got? Oh, I know what we got. We got Q&A, a little Q&A podcast number 3. Let's get to it.
May I have your attention, please?
Give me a heater.
You're now listening to Clear the Mechanism.
The Robbie Rowe Show.
The Robbie Rowe Show.
Yes, we're back. That hypes me up still. Well, I think it hyped me up extra today. I've been gone. You guys haven't heard from me for, 2 weeks, right? I wouldn't surprise the familia back home, California. That's family in Spanish for you gringos out there. Went and saw them, spent 2 weeks back home in Northern California. It was beautiful, and I was unable to really dive into any of the questions that I got in my email. But, this week's going to be a little bit different in regard. It's so funny. Like, I bet the people that actually have been listening to me and following me on Instagram or whatever it is for a good amount of time have just completely understood how everything, nothing is the same. I'm always doing something new. So what's new today is I'm filming myself. I'm right there. I'm filming myself, and I'm going to try to throw these little snippets on Instagram or something. But or does it just give me an excuse to look at myself? I don't know. Who knows? But I'm such a dummy. Yeah, we're going to keep it rolling. Sorry, guys. But we got, what do we got? 6 questions lined up for you guys. I was unable to audio respond to the individuals that asked these questions because, like I said, I was gone. I didn't have my handy-dandy Yeti microphone. So I just wrote a typical response via typing. But today's Q&A is going to be good. I think these 6 questions, something that I don't think I've really elaborated on, but it's really good to do so. Anyways, want a quick shout out to you guys. I think it's so freaking cool, and it doesn't get old. The fact that I have a podcast, the fact that people listen to me. So I'm gonna come clean and let you guys know that typically I don't look at my podcast statistics, and for some reason I kind of just quote unquote stumbled upon them. And the amount of people, man, that download my podcast and listen to my podcast, that is so awesome. And I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys' support. Not just support through the podcast, but the support through Instagram, people reaching out for no, no one has to reach out, right? No one has to, but the individuals that do and say, something about hey, I'm so-and-so and you've helped me, or, people, I got so many messages this past week of people saying that they were rooting for me on my comeback. And I think that is so cool. That is the power of social media. But I just wanted to take that time and say thank you and show my appreciation. So before we dive into the Q&As, I want to talk just briefly. I don't know if I talked about it last podcast, but right before I went back home to California, I launched a new ebook. It's my full plyo ball drills and routines ebook. It's got everything that I do and all of the drills that I like to incorporate, the reason behind why I like to incorporate those drills, even my routines. I think I have 4 different types of routines because I've been a couple different types of pitchers, right? So the 4 routines are start day routine, bullpen routine, as if I'm in the pen and I know I'm going to be hot that day, and then the catch play routine, so on a day that I'm just going to play catch, and then the 4th one's going to be on a strict plyo ball day. But check that out. Podcast listeners get a 20% discount. Just type in plyo20, PLYO20, and that'll get you 20% off the ebook. So I think it's only $14, but always get questions regarding drills and plyo ball stuff, so I thought I might as well just do an ebook on it, right? But other than that, hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone's working hard and fighting the good fight. And if you guys want more information on any of my services, mechanical analysis, coaching plans, monthly throwing programs, All of that stuff can be found in the show notes of this particular podcast episode. Just type in your URL, therobbyroshow.com/QA pod 3. Again, that's QAPOD and then the number 3. And that'll take you to the page. And I'll include like everything I talked about. So the discount for the plyo ball routine ebook will be on there. All of my services will be on there. And then if you're somebody that is looking for, interested in purchasing one of the I guess, quote unquote, mainstream products of the baseball industry, I can probably get you a discount on that, ranging from Pocket Radar, Velo Pro Harness, King of the Hill, all of basically everything you see me use. I can get you a discount. All of the companies that I've partnered with have been just awesome, and they've been nice enough to provide you guys with a discount. So again, therobbyroshow.com/QA pod 3, and you'll see all of those everything, discounts, services, ebooks, all of that stuff. But all right, we're gonna get to the Q&A pod. Like I said, I didn't have the audio because I was gone and I didn't record audio for those questions that I got. So I'm just gonna go. We're just gonna hammer this, and hopefully, if you hear me drinking water, I apologize ahead of time. That was that, because I get cotton mouth. Anyways, okay. So the first question that I want to talk about, the question is, the individual states, hey man, lost 30 pounds to get into better shape, but I lost 4 to 5 miles per hour on my fastball. What's the reasoning? Is there anything that I can do? What are your thoughts on how to get my velo not only back, but get to me throwing harder? So this is interesting, right? Because I fall victim of this as well, where just as a human being, right, just as a person, and it's not even to mention just being an athlete, like we all want to look, feel, move really well. And sometimes it's tough, right? Because, when I guess the general consensus of like pitchers or baseball players is like, you don't need to look athletic. You don't need to look like the NBA players. Everyone thinks real quick to think of like Boomer Wells, right? David Wells, who just drinks beer and dumpy body, but absolutely shoves. This is tough, because my answer to questions like this, and like I previously stated, I struggle with this as well, because Dr. Heenan and I will go back and forth on what I like, what weight I prefer, and XYZ and all of this stuff. But I guess there's kind of two different ways to look at it, right? Because obviously, as a person and as an athlete, you want to feel good. You want to be able to wake up in the morning and attack your day with like 110% energy and cognitive function and all of that. And we know that obviously nutrition and exercise always play a part in that. But then there's this other area where it's like, as a thrower, as a pitcher, we want to increase our weight to increase momentum and increase our strength metrics and X, Y, and Z. And I'll include a link in the show notes that I mentioned in the beginning to a podcast that Dr. Heenan and I did on manipulating body weight for optimal performance. And we go into further detail on this subject because it is such a hot subject. But what I'm going to encourage individuals with, and I did with this individual who asked this question, was like, it's not necessarily about quote unquote being in better shape. It's about being in the best possible baseball shape that you can be in. And that's going to be an identification process for the individual to understand, what is my playing weight? What is my optimal playing weight? And again, like I said, it's trial and error period. I didn't find that out until my 7th year of pro ball. And I've been so many different weights. Like, it's so crazy. I got drafted. I was like a $180 coming out of the pool with a tux on, and then I gradually increased weight, and then I lost weight, and then I was like 210 and wasn't throwing as hard, and then said, okay, I need to put weight on. Got up to 240, then started throwing 95 plus, and it's like, okay, that's probably my playing weight, right? So that's kind of what that process looks like. Again, we can sit here and talk about all the variables in regards to, is it about waking up and feeling really good, or is it about being the very best possible pitcher that you can be on game day. And that's something that Dr. Heenan and I will go back and forth with, is because at 210, I probably feel my best. I'm able to get out of my, I almost said bed, but everyone I think knows I sleep on the floor. I'm able to get off the floor in the morning and just ready to attack the day. Like I'm ready because I'm at a weight that I'm able to carry and move through time and space very efficiently, and so on and so forth. But I also know that at 235, 240, I'm probably going to throw my hardest. So it comes down to, what is my goal? So my goal is to be the best possible pitcher that I can be. Now, with that goal, I need to identify like the body weight, the strength metrics, the long toss, the velo, all of these things that are that fall into that category of what does it look like for me to be the best possible pitcher that I can be. It's probably at 235, probably a 420-foot long toss, probably, like a 315 reverse lunge, and there's obviously a bunch of other things within that, but I always just try to encourage guys that it's on them. It's their identification process, and that's the beauty of being an athlete or being in baseball, is you get to constantly trial and error. You get to constantly tinker with that to find that sweet spot, to find that optimal situation for you. Because I can sit here and say, you need to be X weight, you need to be X amount of long toss, but I don't know you. So that's what it's all about, man. Is like, it's not necessarily bad to, I mean, shoot, the dude lost 30 pounds and probably feels really good right now, but he lost 4 to 5 miles an hour. So is his goal to look good when he looks in the mirror, or is his goal to put himself in the best possible situation to accomplish his baseball goals, right? And that's something that everyone needs to look at. So that's my encouragement for everyone. And like I said, I'll include the link. I'll write that down. I'll include the link to the podcast that Dr. Heenan and I did together on manipulating body weight, because I think if you follow me, you probably follow him and know that he's got body weight in his 90-mile-an-hour formula. Excuse me. So I'll link that in there, like I said in the beginning, the show notes over at QA Pod 3, RobbieRoweShow.com, QA Pod 3. All right, second question. Let me write that down. That's embarrassing. Second question. My son is in high school, and we don't quite know what to do after he's done throwing. We have heard good and bad things about icing. We've heard good and bad things about running, and so on and so forth, about stem machines and massage guns and lacrosse balls and foam rollers. And he says, we just honestly don't know what to do. There's a lot of stuff out there, and we want to know what the best, I'm going to use the word modality, is for my 10-year-old son. Okay, so great question, right? Because we always talk about routines as far as like, what do you do before you touch a ball? What do you do pre-throwing routine? What's your post-throwing routine? What's your post-start routine? All of these different like routines that we can incorporate to allow us to recover and be optimal for our next outing. And so my biggest thing is I think one. I mentioned that his son was 10 years old. That's a completely different question. His son, he said, is in high school. So I was going to say, first things first, I think the age it's completely dependent on the age. Obviously, when you're younger, you're going to recover, I think, pretty well no matter what. And I think we know, I don't really need to elaborate on what recovery looks like and how much actually goes into recovery in regards to sleep, nutrition, movement, exercise, all of these other things. But the biggest thing for me personally when it comes to a post-throw routine is everyone wants this quick, thing to do after they're done throwing. And they think that whatever they do, whether it be, a strict like band routine or a strict, weighted ball routine after they're done throwing, that is automatically going to allow them to be completely recovered for the next day. And that's not how it goes. And it's funny that I say this now because I'm actually working on a post-throw routine ebook, but I want you guys to know that that little routine that you incorporate after you're done throwing doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to be 100% recovered. Yes, it's great, and it's great to implement a post-throw routine. I think a lot of people know that I'm a huge routine proponent, advocate, whatever, and I do have a post-throw routine, but understand that it's about everything. Like, everything goes into it, man. Like, you're going to not only be recovered, but you're going to be able to perform optimally if your exercise is on point, right? Strength training. Your movement capacity is on point. You're able to move through time and space really well. Your nutrition is on point. You're eating really good whole foods, not sitting and eating McDonald's. And I know I just say that because I just had McDonald's when I was home. YOLO. But and then the last one is, well, probably the first one is sleep. Like, are you sleeping good? That's so important. I just read a study on how important sleep actually is and how much it can actually increase athletic performance. And it's freaking unreal. I'll try to link that in the show notes, actually, if I can find it. I don't remember where I saw it, but yeah, and that's my biggest thing when I responded to this person was like, look, it's great to have post-throw routine, but don't get so caught up on, okay, I've implemented a pre and a post-throw routine. Now I can sit on the couch and play Fortnite 8 hours out of the day, not move, eat potato chips. But if I just incorporate, this 10-minute pre-throw routine and then this 10-minute post-throw routine, I'll be good. Like, no, man, that's not how it works. You can have the best post-throw routine and do all of the bands and all of the jobs and all of these things, but at the end of the day, you're probably not going to be recovered because you go out, drink, and party and get 4 hours of sleep on the weekends, but then you're expected to pitch on Saturday or maybe come in relief on Sunday, and like, you know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense, but that was kind of my answer to that person was like, look, I'm writing a post-throw routine ebook, and it's going to include a lot of good stuff, a lot of different things and modalities that I specifically use. And I'm going to make sure that I write in the ebook, like, look, this isn't necessarily guaranteed to get you recovered. And I'll be the first one to say that. Obviously, it's bad marketing strategy, but my goal is to better equip each individual that listens to me or watches me for their baseball journey, and I'd be doing a total disservice. I'd be a phony if I didn't include that, So hopefully that makes sense. I hope you guys get a crisp, clean understanding of what I really mean by that as far as, recovery and stuff to do after you throw. And I know I dodged the question because I'm sure people, when they ask me questions like that, they want, oh, okay, you're going to spend 10 minutes on the bike and then you're going to go 7.5 minutes icing. Like, no, that's not really how it goes. Because, again, just to piggyback off everything I just said, everyone's recovery is going to be different. I've met individuals that can eat McDonald's and can, sleep 2 hours a night and then wake up in the next morning and be 97 to 100 and shove ish for 5 innings, right? Like, but is that going to be the routine for you, right? Like, what's your goal? I think it goes back to the original kind of question / statement. What is your goal? If your goal is to be the best possible pitcher that you can be, then you need to put yourself into a situation where you can thrive and be that individual and reach those goals. I know Dr. Heenan has a lot of good stuff on icing and running, stem machines. Again, I can sit here and give another answer as far as what placebo means, but if there's a routine and that you implement and everyone else thinks it's crazy, but you don't, and you solely believe in it, then frickin' A, man, that's your routine. That's right for you. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so sorry, I wrote something down. All right, so question number 3. Sorry, I'm taking so long on these answers. I get pretty freaking fired up when talking about this stuff. Question 3 is best way for a pitcher to get recruited by colleges. All right, well, let me write some stuff down, and we'll go there. All right, best way for a pitcher to get recruited by colleges. So I'm going to answer this. I guess I can answer it 2 different ways, right? Number one way the best way for a pitcher to get recruited by colleges is to stand out. Okay, that's an easy answer. Do something on the field that separates you and not just playing, pitching with your sliding shorts on or off. I don't know. Do something on the field that separates you from the other individuals from the rest of the pack. Recruiters, scouts, doesn't matter. They're going to want to see someone that stands out. And it's going to be about developing a certain skill that stands out. Now, the question was about pitchers, so I'll elaborate on pitchers. What can we do that stands out? Throw hard. Everyone wants to see a hard thrower. Nowadays, spin rate, spin efficiency, pitch trajectory. There's all of these different things. If you're in high school, I think you're advanced enough to understand the concepts of like using a Rapsodo. So maybe get on a Rapsodo and see, okay, what pitches do what? All right, let's develop this one pitch that I think is close to certain metrics that are really, really elite, and let's freaking get better at that one pitch. So then when you do, go to these showcases, or you do get seen by a college recruiter, and hopefully by this time, I don't even know if they do have this yet, but maybe they have like Rapsodos, like portable Rapsodos they bring if they're scouting someone or recruiting somebody, but who knows? So when they do that, when that time comes, that you have, say, this like one devastating pitch that's like, holy crap, this dude has a fastball that's 2,500 or 2,600 RPMs, but it's 86, but it's got ride, it's got freaking 99.8% spin efficiency. Like, I'm just spitballing here on, one of those little things that you can do. Get on a Rapsodo and fine tune certain pitches. And that's probably half after velocity, right? Because we all know that velocity essentially trumps everything. The next thing could be like work ethic. Your ability to outwork every single guy on the field, the ability to hustle, being a good teammate. Like, all of these things, they play into it. I'm going to link another post. This is a pitching talk segment that I did on like the recruiting and the college recruiting and the scouting process. So I'm going to link that into the show notes, right? So for the 15th time, sorry, I keep repeating it just to give you guys an understanding, therobbyroshow.com/QApod3. I'll link this pitching talk segment I did on the process of college recruiting, scouting, and certain things that you can do that stick out and that you should probably start implementing, now. So hopefully that gives you a better understanding. But the other angle that I wanted to kind of hit on with this question, best way for a pitcher to get recruited by colleges, is market yourself, dude. We live in a day and age now where like everyone's so connected and everyone has a smartphone, and the capabilities of a smartphone are freaking beyond this world. I've talked to a couple scouts that say, if people think that what they post on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter don't matter, then they're fools, because all of that stuff matters. All of that stuff plays a part. And I'll link that as well. So I'll link another segment that I did on how to market yourself as an athlete in 2019. So let me write that down. Segment on, it was a while ago. I was at the old house in Omaha when I did that. So, dude, it's so funny. I'm sitting here trying to like write and talk at the same time, and it's not going too well. Anyways, all right. So again, all of these, if you want to get further elaborated on all of these other things that I'm talking about, just head over to the show notes and you can see all those links. Fourth question. This is where the 10-year-old son comes into play. 10-year-old son lacking velo. What do I do? Dude, how tough is that, right? Because, and this is something that I've said for a while. I'm going to drink of water. This is something that I've talked about for a while, because everyone asks like, hey, are you going to do lessons when you're done with playing? Or are you going to work with Little League? Or are you going to do this and that? And it's like, I need to identify as an instructor where I'm best suited to get the most out of the athlete. And I will always say, and I'm not saying this because it's like a brag or I'm super intelligent. I'm literally saying this because I genuinely mean it, and I fear that I fear for the super young athletes. Is like, I don't really necessarily want to work with like 7-year-olds, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, there's that fine line year-olds, because I get way too overboard sometimes when I'm talking about this stuff. I think you guys can probably understand that just by following me for a little bit. And I think I would be doing just a total disservice if a 10-year-old wanted to work with me. And maybe that's something that in the near future I need to like take a step back and be like, yo, Robbie, I need to work with these kids, but I need to find a simplified version to get the most out of them without overcomplicating everything, right? But back to the question, 10-year-old son lacking velo, what to do? This is something that I've talked about in regards to the age-dependent thing and velocity, and I know it's frustrating, right? Like, especially as a dad and you have a 10-year-old son and all you want to do is see him perform and be elite and have fun. And maybe in that particular situation he's not, right? He's not having fun because everyone throws harder, and when he does pitch, he gets hit hard because he's lacking velocity. My biggest encouragement is just to continue along that process and continue to be an athlete and have fun and play different sports and not. And I know it's super easy for me to sit here and say all this, and it's a completely other dynamic to put that into action. But like, just constant encouragement, especially if you're a dad listening to this, just constant encouragement to your son. I'm going to include another link. It's going to be a link to Matt Lyle's podcast that he did, and we touched on a lot of father-son, coach-son dynamic stuff, and it's really good. He has some really good nuggets in there that if you are a dad listening to this or you're a mom listening to this, listen to that podcast, because that's a really good podcast to listen to if you are, if you're a mom or a dad or just a parent, that's either coaching or watching from the sidelines, and how to respond and I guess, whatever. But I don't have a son, but I can speak from personal experience in regards to how my dad was a 10-year big leaguer, dude, and I had a lot of expectation, obviously, but he never once really expected anything. He was really good, and my mom too. They were both really good about the constant encouragement, constantly, creating an environment in which I could have fun, and it would not force, but make me want to play, make me want to go out to the sandlot and throw the ball around and play with my buddies, and it wasn't necessarily something that I dreaded, So 10-year-old lacking velocity, be an athlete, throw the ball, go out and see how far you can throw it. Have competitions with your friends of who can throw it the furthest. That's something that I did when I was a kid, man. It was fun to go out and throw the ball as far as you could. And just being, I hate to say be intentional about it, because I don't know if a 10-year-old really would understand that phrase, but go out and throw hard. Practice it. So, like I said, that podcast link will be in the show notes of this episode that I would encourage you guys to check out. Okay, so what do we got? Question 5. All right, question 5. So these next two will be fairly quick questions, or quick answers. But the question is, any tips for executing pitches when you're extremely tired? A couple different variables here that I want to touch on. First one is, what does your preparation look like? And obviously there's going to be times where you just get tired. You work extremely hard and you train and you prepare for that specific event, and you just get tired. It happens, maybe weather dependent or other things, but it's going to happen. And in that particular case, when you do get tired, set aside the preparation thing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you do get tired, I would always encourage guys to take a moment when you're on the mound and really connect your brain to your feet and feel your spikes into the ground. When you come set, or when you're on the rubber and you're getting your sign, take a few moments to just really feel those spikes into the ground, because you need to get back to a position where you're staying connected to the ground. A lot of the times when people get tired, I don't think it's a secret that when you get tired, there's compensations for being tired, but most of it comes from the lower half. So get tired, feel the connection to the ground, feel your spikes digging into the ground. Don't lose that connection, because like I said, when you get tired, your legs will go and you'll bypass the ground connectivity, and that will cause you to use more arm, and your arm's already tired. So then that's when you start really, getting into that conversation of injuries, and I never really want to talk about that. So the second part of that is obviously preparation. Don't come to me if you're saying, hey, how do I pitch when I'm tired, and you threw one day that week and it's Saturday and it's game day, and now all of a sudden you decide, I'm going to pick up a ball and try to throw 9 innings. Dude, let's go. Figure it out. Be intentional. What's your goal? Let's get back to that. What does your preparation look like? Do the necessary things in your weekly routine that prepares you 100% for the event that you're wanting to compete in and you wanting to have success in. So that's what I got for that one. And last but not least, someone reached out and said, what's your opinion on coaches calling pitches? I understand. Listen, I'm someone that didn't go to college, so I don't really understand that whole dynamic. And obviously, just through tons and tons of stories, it makes sense, right? Because at the college level, you're dealing with 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. And as a college coach, you want to make sure that you're freaking winning, dude, because it's your job. It's your family that you're trying to support. And the only way you can do that is if your team continues to win so you don't get freaking fired. I completely get the dynamic. Is it the best possible, thing for a pitcher or even a catcher to go into? Probably not, right? Because then those individuals get into pro ball and they have no identification of their stuff, and how to best utilize that stuff. So I would encourage someone, if you're listening to this and you're in a college program or maybe even a high school program that the coach calls the pitches, is just to maybe set aside some time to talk to him and be like, hey, I just want to make sure that I'm best equipped to attack a professional career if it comes to it. So can we sit down and we can talk about how you would best sequence my stuff, or how you would go about sequencing my stuff, so I can maybe get a better idea of what. So it's about having that conversation, right, and not just completely not understanding it, right. And just going out there and pitching and just agreeing to every single sign that the catcher puts down for no reason whatsoever. But obviously, I'm a guy that went from high school with a dad that was a major league catcher. So at an early age, right, we would have these conversations. These were our dinner table conversations. Was how to sequence stuff. Even just being at home for those last 2 weeks, it was so cool because it's still the same thing as when I was 12. We'd sit and watch a game and we'd just sit and talk about whatever the sequence was, whoever is hitting and what his weaknesses are and how to best approach that and how to attack that, and the pitcher, and just all of these things. These are something that even you yourself, if you're a college pitcher or high school, just a pitcher in general, you're just a baseball player, is sit down and watch a game, man, and challenge yourself with I would throw this pitch here, I would do this here. Even if you're a hitter, challenge yourself with okay, this is what I would do, right? I think there's so much value to be had in that. So put the Fortnite controller down, watch a game. But yeah, so it's tough, right? Because like I said, I completely understand it if you're a coach, and I completely understand why it's frustrating if you're a player. Yeah, so sorry for the lengthy pod there. I know it was completely different than all the other ones because I kind of just copy and pasted my audio response to all of my questions. But yikes, that was 30 minutes. Yikes. Sorry, guys. I can talk. That's fine. I only had 2 sips of water, so that's cool. Anyways, therobbierowshow.com/QAPod3, or just go to my website, therobbierowshow.com, and you'll see under blogs, I think it says FAQ. And like I said, this is the 3rd Q&A pod or FAQ pod. I don't know. What do you want to call it? But appreciate you guys. Share this with someone that could utilize this information. And yeah, that's all I got. Much love, guys. Appreciate each and every one of you that reach out and even just listen. You guys are freaking the goats, man. Reach out and let me know if you like this setup, or if you want like the condensed version. You know what I mean? So I know everyone knows that I can talk and I can ramble and I get it. I repeat myself and all of this stuff, and just let me know, yo, actually I really liked it when you went into depth and detail on the recent pod. Or reach out and say, yo, keep it 2 to 3 minutes per answer. Completely get it. Yeah, guys, much love. God bless. Until next time, I'm out.